What if the true measure of a human life is not happiness, not success, not survival, but excellence? Not the shallow excellence of trophies and applause, but a deeper, older, terrifyingly demanding kind. The kind the ancient Greeks called arete. Arete did not mean being good at something. It meant becoming the finest version of what you are capable of being. Mind sharpened, body disciplined, spirit aligned, conduct worthy of memory. A life lived in such a way that the gods themselves could not accuse you of wasting the gift of existence. To the Greeks, mediocrity was not harmless. It was blasphemy. To possess capacity and not refine it was an insult to the divine spark entrusted to you. Arete was not ambition. It was obligation. A sacred responsibility to polish the soul through relentless refinement. But that ancient standard has vanished. Modern culture tells us to seek comfort, not excellence. Pleasure, not mastery. Validation, not transformation. We are taught to protect the ego instead of challenge it, to avoid difficulty instead of grow through it, to live quietly instead of live memorably. And so the word died, and with it, a civilization's philosophy of what a human life is for. This video is not an academic tour of Greek ethics. It is a restoration of a forgotten standard, a return to a worldview in which life is a test of refinement, not a waiting room for distraction. We will uncover what Arete truly demanded, why the ancients treated it as the highest human pursuit, and most importantly, what it would mean to resurrect Arete in the modern world, where comfort has become our god and potential our casualty. Because if the ancients were right, then the worth of a life is not measured by what you possess, but by what you become. To understand Arete, we must first erase our modern assumptions. The Greeks did not begin with morality or comfort or equality. They began with capacity. They asked not, is it good? But rather, does it fulfill its highest potential? A knife has arete if it cuts cleanly. A horse has arete if it runs with power. A human has arete only when he or she becomes the fullest expression of what a human can be, in intellect, in courage, in conduct, in soul. This idea appears in the oldest Greek texts. In Homer's Iliad, heroes are judged not by victory alone, but by the quality of their character under pressure, their composure, their discipline, their dignity before fate. Achilles is feared for strength, but honored for the greatness with which he embodies his nature. In Plato, arete is the aim of philosophy itself, to refine the soul until it is aligned with its highest order. For Socrates, the unexamined life is not just ignorant, it is a betrayal of arete, a refusal to meet the standard your birth demands. Even in Aristotle's Ethics, often misunderstood, virtue is not about moral goodness. Virtue is excellence achieved through trained habit. You are not born excellent. You forge excellence through relentless practice until greatness becomes your second nature. This was the Greek lens on human existence. Not that we must be good, but that we must be worthy. Worthy of the mind we were given. Worthy of the struggle we were born into. Worthy of the breath and years we occupy. So, what happened? Why did a civilization built on excellence give way to one built on comfort, entitlement, and excuses? Because arete is a threat to mediocrity-driven systems. A population striving for excellence is difficult to govern, difficult to distract, difficult to sell to, difficult to keep docile. So, excellence was replaced with obedience. Discipline was replaced with pleasure. Honor was replaced with reputation. Arete disappeared, not because it failed, but because it produces humans who cannot be domesticated. And yet, the ideal did not die completely. It went underground, surviving in Stoicism, in Hermeticism, in the warrior codes of Rome and Japan, in every tradition where the human being is treated, not as a consumer of experiences, but as a project of self-transcendence. Today the word is gone. But the hunger it named still lives in those who sense that life without striving becomes a slow kind of death. Arete is not nostalgia. It is a blueprint waiting for resurrection. The Greeks did not pursue arete for applause or legacy. They pursued it because they believed that to waste one's potential was a spiritual failure. Excellence was not ego. It was reverence for the gift of being alive. Arete begins with a simple but brutal premise. You do not belong to yourself. Your body, your mind, your time, your faculties, they are on loan from the gods, and the only repayment is the refinement of what you were given. This is why laziness was not merely unproductive, it was disrespectful. To coast is to spit on the divine architecture inside you. To choose comfort over cultivation is to declare that existence has asked nothing of you, and you agree. Arete demanded that every act, from speech to craft to battle to thought, be done with deliberate excellence, not because the world is watching, but because your soul is being weighed. Even failure was acceptable, if one failed at the heights of effort. What was unforgivable was to live beneath your possibility. This is where Arete diverges from modern self-improvement. Self-improvement asks, how can I feel better? Arete asks, how can I become worthy? Not worthy in the eyes of others, but worthy in the eyes of something higher. Call it fate, logos, cosmos, the unseen order. Arete is the opposite of ego, because ego seeks admiration from others. Arete demands admiration from one's own conscience. A man who has arete can sit in a silent room alone and feel no shame in what he is becoming. And there is something else, something the modern world has buried. Arete assumes that life is a contest, not against others, but against who you could have been. You are being measured against your unrealized self, the ghost of the life you had the capacity to live. That ghost is watching you. That is the Greek terror and the Greek fire. But here is the paradox. The pursuit of arete is not a punishment. It is the only path that produces meaning. Comfort produces numbness. Luxury produces dullness. Ease produces amnesia. Only effort in alignment with potential creates inner radiance, the feeling of existence fulfilled from the inside out. There is a reason tragedy, not comedy, was the supreme art of Greece. They understood something we have forgotten, that a life without heroic effort is not safe. It is wasted. Before we go deeper, ask yourself, not rhetorically, but honestly, when you die, will the person you could have been forgive the person you became? Because that, to the ancient Greeks, was the only question that mattered. If this idea hits you, if it shakes something you thought was buried, then stay with this exploration. Subscribe, and in the comments below tell me, do you feel judged more by the world or by the self you know you could be? If arete is the highest human pursuit, why is it almost extinct today? Not because humans lost the capacity, but because the world has constructed systematic obstacles against it. The enemies of arete are not accidents. They are conditions that prevent inner strength from ever maturing. Enemy 1. Comfort as a doctrine. The ancients trained in cold, in hunger, in heat, in danger. Not because they romanticized suffering, but because they understood that comfort dulls the will, the way rust dulls steel. Today, comfort is not just available. It is sold as the measure of a good life. A society of softened minds cannot produce noble souls. A person who never struggles for anything meaningful cannot become anything remarkable. Enemy 2. Distraction as sedation. The Greeks feared only two things: forgetfulness and passivity. Both now exist in industrial supply. Attention is constantly extracted, scattered, diluted, not by wrath of gods, but by design of systems that profit when you live unconsciously. A distracted mind cannot climb. It circles the same ground forever. Enemy 3. Equality as a moral drug. The Greeks did not pretend all humans would fulfill Arete. They believed the few who strive define the standard. Modern culture reverses this. The lowest effort sets the norm, and to rise above, it is seen as arrogance or aggression. When excellence is labeled elitism, Arete becomes socially punished instead of pursued. Enemy 4. Emotional fragility. Excellence requires friction, correction, failure, ridicule, rejection. But a culture trained to fear discomfort treats every wound as trauma, every challenge as oppression, every demand for growth is cruelty. Fragility is not harmless. It is the death of potential disguised as therapy. Enemy 5. Meaninglessness. Arete requires a why. In a world where nothing is sacred, where humans are taught they are accidents of biology drifting toward nothingness, what incentive remains to cultivate one's soul? When life has no metaphysical weight, mediocrity feels justified. And yet, the concept survives in fragments. In the athlete who trains before dawn, in the monk who fasts in silence, in the craftsman who refuses shortcuts, in the thinker who rewrites his mind, in the warrior who sharpens his nature instead of escaping it. These modern outliers are living proof that Arete never died. It was merely abandoned by the majority and inherited by the few. But here is the deeper truth. Arete is not defeated by the world. It is defeated when the individual consents to live beneath himself. The world can only weaken you with your permission. Excellence dies not from force, but from surrender. And so the question becomes, how does one practice Arete now? Not in myth or poetry, but in this age of algorithmic sedation and engineered weakness. What does it look like to defy an entire civilization of noise by resurrecting an ancient standard inside oneself? Quietly, privately, relentlessly? That is the task ahead, and the answer is not theoretical, but practical and lived. Arete does not arrive through inspiration. It is trained into existence through daily decisions that sharpen rather than soften the self. Excellence is not an achievement. It is a posture toward life. Here is how the ancients would practice Arete in our modern world. Not symbolically, but operationally. 1. Do hard things on purpose. A life without chosen difficulty breeds involuntary suffering later. Cold showers, fasting, early rising, silence, physical training. These are not trends, but rituals of remembrance. Reminders that your body answers to your will, not the other way around. The world trains weakness by default. You must train excellence by design. 2. Make war on sloppiness. Arete begins with what you already touch. How you speak, how you write, how you show up, how you leave a room. Precision in small things creates capacity for greatness in larger ones. Excellence compounds, so does negligence. 3. Build an internal judge. Do not measure yourself by comparison to others. Most people are not aimed at anything. Measure yourself against the self that you know is possible, and do not let yourself escape accountability. Each night ask, did I live today below my capacity, at it, or above it? Only the honest answer matters. 4. Introduce voluntary silence and solitude. Arete requires a mind that can hear itself think. Carve out time with no stimulation, no phone, no noise, no input, until your inner voice is no longer drowned by the world's constant whisper to remain ordinary. In silence, the soul remembers its unfinished work. 5. Tie your effort to something higher than ego. Excellence pursued for vanity fades. Excellence pursued as duty to the divine part of you endures. Tell yourself, not as poetry, but as law, I was not born to be average. Something is expected of me. Arete is not about self-worship. It is about self-fulfillment as an offering. 6. Expect resistance and interpret it correctly. When you begin to rise, life does not get easier. It gets honest. People will mock you, sabotage you, shrink you, doubt you, because your effort condemns their surrender. The Greeks knew ridicule is proof of motion. Obstacles are proof of orientation. Use resistance as confirmation, not deterrent. Arete is not a program, not a streak, not a phase. It is the decision to never again live beneath what you are capable of becoming. Every day is a test, not of perfection, but of direction. The question is not, can you achieve excellence? The question is, will you refuse anything less? The Greeks understood something that modernity cannot bear to admit. There are only two ways to live: in the pursuit of excellence or in the slow decay of forgetting. A life without arete does not simply fail. It dissolves into obscurity, into softness, into the gray fog of unused potential. To refuse the call of excellence is to agree to die before death, to live as an echo instead of a force. Arete is not about glory, not about superiority, not about proving yourself to others. It is about refusing to betray the blueprint inside you. Because there is another you, the one you could still become, and that possible self is watching. It is the judge you cannot escape, the haunting that follows every avoided effort and every abandoned promise. In the end, the world does not decide if your life mattered. You do, by the standard you either honored or ignored. So the real question is not whether arete is relevant today, but whether you are willing to live in a way that would make your ancestors and your future self nod in respect. Excellence is not fate. It is chosen, defended, and renewed every single day in the silence between impulse and decision. So, I leave you with the same question the Greeks left their sons. Will you leave this world as you were born, unfinished, or will you rise until nothing unexpressed remains within you? If this struck something in you, don't let it dissolve back into comfort. Subscribe to Labyrinth of the Veiled and tell me in the comments. Do you feel that arete is still possible in our time? Or has the world made it impossible on purpose? The test has already begun. Your life is the answer.